Well, greetings to everyone on the call. I hope you're all well. I have nothing to present because I am sure there have been many presentations today. So it's just me. As Dinyiko has mentioned some of the work that I've been doing over the years, I think it's only fair for me to start in the beginning and just explain why. Firstly, I agreed to the session, and secondly, just to explain the topic that I'm going to unpack briefly in the few minutes that we've got. I chose the topic because we're talking inclusivity. I chose the topic showing up because I imagine we've had many policies, many summits, many events, many protests to encourage decision makers, particularly in the corporate globally, to make sure that they include us in a lot of the things that are being done. And we continue to campaign for that because the numbers are still very low. But in the process of the numbers improving from where we started in the 40s and 50s, it's important for us to also then prepare ourselves to be part of the journey. And that is why I then chose the decision to say, let us show up. My name is Ngwako Ramohlale. I was born and raised in South Africa. I was born in Limpopo, lived there for 2 weeks, moved to Atteridgeville, moved to Johannesburg when I was 12 to start high school at the National School of the Arts because academics were not a strong point in my life. I'm from a very academic family, but I was more on the creative end of life. And so I went to the National School of the Arts, matriculated there, went to varsity where I did graphic design and media, graduated from that, started my own media company for a few years. And then after that, set up what is now known as Nunnovation Africa Foundation with a few of my partners, Katu and Fifi. And over the years, I've been very fortunate to travel the world, speak at different events, win awards, open the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, blow the horn, dreams that as a girl growing up in a township seemed very far-fetched. And I think that's what leads to the conversation today around showing up, has always been that when I was a kid, I remember, my mom lived in Mpumalanga. She was a single parent. So I grew up with Bogogo or Rakadi or Mani or whoever they'd bring, to make sure that this minor is not living there alone. And what was important for me was always wanting to stand out from the crowd and stand out from the people I played with in my township. And lo and behold, I used to play with a lot of boys. I used to play marbles, ditopo, all these things that boys played. I was very bad, skipping rope, mukusha, all the things that girls grew up doing in the township. I was terrible at that stuff, but I was very good when it came to handiwork. And I found myself sitting with the older boys in our township, watched them how they make kites, watched how they used to play the alley marbles, And I used to observe. I used to stand there, watch, study, observe, go back to the house and practice the things that they were doing on my own. And then I'd take them on. I'd come back a few days later and say, hi guys, I'd also like to participate in this. Naturally, they're like, you're too skinny, you're tiny, you're a girl. Like, no, like this is not for you. But me being me, I was like, no, I think I got this. What they didn't know is that I was at the back practicing. I was at home, learning and trying new ways and new tricks that would make sure that I come out top when I do get to compete with them, with the games that they used to play. I remember I got banned from Bob Mabena's dad's shop, Ngwako Ramohlale Street, because there was this one game called Stwebeli where you put in 50 cents, you pull the thing and it stops whoever it stops, and you either win or you lose money. But I used to sit there as an 8-year-old and count how many seconds it would take for it to stop on the jackpot. And the jackpot was 5 rand. So this tiny little girl takes 50 cents, throws it in there and times the seconds. And I always know where it stops at the jackpot. And he kicked me out after a few days because he was like, no, you're killing my business. You're killing my shop. I don't want you in here. And for me, that's always been a thing that has allowed me to be where I am today. Seeing things, studying them, understanding how they work, and then showing up to participate and to win. So for me, showing up always means winning. Winning even the smallest things, even the smallest victories. For me, it's always been important that I walk out with something, and that takes preparation more than anything. When we started Nunnovation, I remember we used to attend a lot of G20 summits around the world. And one of the ones that I attended, I remember there's a guy who came to us and said, listen, there's this competition where globally people will be participating in work that they're doing in their countries. And there's an award there called social innovation, which we think you should participate in. And I thought, I don't know, competing with people from your likes of Canada, Switzerland, people with big dollars and big euros. I wasn't sure, but something said, let's just try. And so we put a video together of some of the projects that we were doing in South Africa and submitted it, and got an email a few days later saying that the people are meeting in Parliament, decision makers are meeting in Parliament at the European Union, Belgium, to look at some of the people who participated in the competition and pick the short list and then the candidates who will win after that. And said, cool, fine, whatever. A few days later, they came back with the results. I remember it was late at night. One of my mentors, came back with the results to say, listen, actually, you were shortlisted, you guys did well. Now we're waiting for the final results. And then another voting session happened, and the results came in again late at night to say, congratulations, you guys have won the Social Innovation Award, and you'll be required to fly to Belgium and to collect it at the European Union Parliament. And that was a great victory, because I didn't anticipate that we would win, looking at where other nonprofit organizations are and what they do and the type of funding that they receive. But showing up and requiring for us to prepare and be there. I found myself in the European Union, in Belgium. It was very unreal. Big walls, big people, big decision makers in there from different parts of the world, who were just congratulating us on the great work that we were doing. And when we were there, then they said, oh, by the way, you're on a panel where you need to speak about the things you're doing. And I remember in the panel, I sat with the guy who co-founded Waze. I sat with the guy who co-founded Lyft, the Uber competitor. And these guys came there knowing that they're coming to speak. I was told on the day that, listen, you're also part of the panel. And I think because of the desire of always wanting to be on such big platforms, I was ready. I was able to show up and participate and engage, and having the opportunity to do that also allowed for the people who were in that room to come back and say, listen, what more can we do? How else can we support you in the work that you're doing in South Africa? And so that's been the journey that we've been, following. And that's been my journey in showing up. And I think there are three women that I wanted to make an example of when we talk about showing up. I don't know if you guys have seen the announcement that happened late last night in the US, early in the mornings for us in South Africa, where Senator Kamala Harris has now been elected by Joe Biden to be his vice president should they win the elections in November in the US. And that's a very big opportunity. And it's a great win for women, a great win for women of color. She represents the Asians, she represents Black people, she represents colored, she represents, a variety of different women. And at the age of 56, if you follow the journey that she has taken over the years, from being a district attorney to being attorney general in America, to being senator, to now being ready and showing up to saying, I actually want to be vice president of the United States of America. It takes gumption for me. It takes strong will for you to say that I am willing to take this opportunity that I'm given, and showing up. Let me check my time here. Okay. And showing up. And I think Kamala for me has been, Kamala Harris has been one great inspiration. She's been someone I've been following for some time, because I could see her taking on even Joe Biden himself. She took on Trump. She took on Obama in his time to say, listen, what about the women? What about the Black women? What about, the young girls? How are we making sure that there's space for them? And in the spirit of them making space for us, I think we all owe it to ourselves. We owe to every single person that is on this call, to the people who invited us to come speak, to always show up. And when we show up, we don't just show up for the sake of showing up, but we come prepared and we add as much value as possible to the stages and the platforms that we're invited to show up. The three things, I think we won't have time for me to unpack the other women that I had in mind, but the three things that I want you guys to all walk away with is one, that you want to be in a place where you're required to show up. It takes wanting, it takes requiring. I know people do vision boards, others write their dreams down, others know their visions and they repeat them daily. But that's you telling God, telling the universe, telling yourself, telling anyone who is willing to listen, that you are willing to be part of something big and something great, and showing up is important for you. But for you to get there, you need to firstly want it, because the last thing we need is for women who have walked the journey, women who marched in 1956 for our rights and freedom, to march, and then when it's time for us to show up, we just take advantage and we just like, no, actually I don't feel like doing this anymore, or you're not willing to make the sacrifices that are there. Which leads me to my next point, is that once after you want it, I think you need to be able to understand that you must be willing to sacrifice a few things for you to be able to say that I am really ready to show up. So you need to make peace with the fact that some things won't be done as normal as they were. Some of the friends you used to hang out with, you might not need to hang out with anymore because of where you want to be. Some of the TV shows that you used to watch on television, some of the people you follow on social media, some of the things you post, you no longer need to do them. You no longer supposed to do them, because you've committed to showing up to something greater than yourself, and something that will represent even generations to come. So the sacrifice comes with wanting and needing to show up. And the last one is really then being there, being prepared and really showing up and giving it your all. I think there's a quote, I don't know if you guys used to watch a series called Scandal with Olivia Pope. It was one of my favorite shows. And I remember Olivia's dad in the show saying, Olivia, because Olivia was this black woman who wanted to at some point be in power and be the most powerful person in America. And her father said to her, you don't understand that because of who you are as a black woman, you need to work twice as hard to get half the things that men receive in parliament, in business, in the corporate, in politics, in anything. And that takes, meaning that you need to really, really work hard over and above the things that people see on the naked eye. One of one of my good friends, what she usually does is practice her scripts before she appears on TV. And when she does appear, the first thing that they call her on set anyway is the one take wonder, because when she gets there, it's one take and she's gone. And she's gone international, she's gone global, and brands want to work with her because she takes her craft and her work so seriously. And I just want to encourage all of you guys to really, really, really take time to want the things that you desire, to prepare for them and be willing to sacrifice for them. And last but not least, very, very important, that you show up. And when you show up, guys, you can't just, fall in there like water that just fell out of, I don't know, a glass. You need to really let people know that, the boss is here and I'm here to make things happen. So it's very important, guys, that you show up for all the opportunities that we're given, even those that are still to be crafted for us to do. Let us be ready for them and let us indeed show up. Tinyiko, I think I will stop here for now. In the respect of time, I just want to thank you guys so much. Girl Code, you guys are doing an amazing work. Tapiwa, thank you for inviting me. Zandi, thank you so much for creating such a powerful platform for women. And I hope you guys never grow tired of the work that you guys are doing. It takes a village really to get our community to where we need it to be. And I hope that every single woman in this room, I see Ponto there. Hey Ponto, a fellow golfer. So I think, ladies, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate the time.